morning, dear hearts. We're on lesson 74, a very important lesson, not a giant stride, but a very important lesson. It is, and it's one that we have spoken of before we got here. There is no will but God's. And as the lesson begins, the idea for today can be regarded as the central thought towards which all our exercises are directed. By the way, please subscribe if you haven't. God is the only will. God's will is the only will. Not a new idea. We've been introduced to this in our early lessons before we got to our first review. And in lesson 19, we were told, and lesson 19 was, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. And it spoke about, we want salvation. And in the second paragraph, we have this wonderful line, salvation must be possible because it is the will of God. And God's will be done. God's will be accomplished. God's desire for us, his children, will come to fruition. Now, there is a line in the text. It is chapter 9. It is the first section. It is the first line. If this is not your first time doing the lessons with me, you have heard this before, because chapter 9, first section, first line, 911, where do we go when we have fear? And this line answers it. Fear of the will of God is one of the strangest beliefs that the human mind has ever made. That's our 911, realizing that the fear of God's will is just a strange belief, and it is not one that we must invest in at all. So God's will is the only will, and this lesson tells us, back to 74, that we are indeed the expression of the will of God, and we have no goal but his. It also tells us that the belief that conflict is possible is gone when we realize that God's will and ours are one, because peace has replaced that strange idea that we could have conflicting goals. In God's will, there is no conflict. In God's will, there are no illusions. God's will is one and whole and complete as God is. So God's will is the expression and the extension of what God is, and we are that as well. The lesson goes on to say that there is great peace in today's idea, and the exercises for today are directed towards finding it. The idea itself is wholly true, therefore it cannot give rise to illusions. Without illusions, conflict is impossible. Now let's just think about that for a minute. If I had no conflict in my life, if there was nothing that rose up within me that was a grievance, or it was a judgment, or it was a resentment, then there would be no conflict possible in my experience here. I would be totally and completely at peace, always and forever. That's what we're going to try to do today with the practicing that there is no will but God's. And it says, let us try to recognize this today and experience the peace that this recognition will bring to us. God's will, when we believe this, when we understand and align ourselves with it, we will experience all that God's will for us is. And that will be the peace, that will be joy, that will be abundance of laughter and abundance of everything that we desire here, which is not the material stuff. The abundance we truly seek is the abundance of love, the abundance of peace, the abundance of tranquil days and nights, laughter. These are the things that we truly are seeking here, and we seek for them in the wrong places, as we have heard many times. So now we seek for them where indeed they will be found, which is in understanding and accepting that God's will for us is one with us. Going into the practicing, we are still doing 2 longer sessions during the day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening would be suggested. As we go into them, hold thoughts into our mind, that there is no will but God's. I cannot be in conflict. 15 minutes to spend with these kinds of thoughts. We need at least that amount of time in order to imbibe these ideas, take them in, and really come into a space of relaxation with them and understanding of them. Then, as we've been doing, because we're on lesson 74, so our minds are not where they will be, but they're not totally untrained. And add a few relevant thoughts to there is no will but God's. I cannot be in conflict. I'm at peace, we can say. Nothing can disturb me. My will is God's. My will and God's are one. God wills peace for his child. And then that's, as they're saying, the introductory period. Go down deeper and see how far we can go into this idea and see what might cross our mind, and then tell yourself if it's a thought that is conflicting with where it is we want to go and what it is we want to do, then address that thought and say, there is no will but God's. These conflict thoughts are meaningless. Lesson 11 was that my meaningless thoughts were showing me a meaningless world. A meaningless world is a world of conflict. I'm not going there. I have no need or desire or wish for conflict. That is not God's will for me. So then go deeper in, specifically if anything comes up that is a specific problem that is disturbing the peace that you are trying to reach. Say to yourself, there is no will but God's. I share it with him. My conflicts about fill in the blank. We love when we get to fill in the blank. Cannot be real. Only peaceful thoughts can be real. And then it says, clear your mind, close your eyes, and experience the peace to which you really want, what you are truly entitled to. Sink into that. And then it says, if you are succeeding, you will feel a deep sense of joy. Joy comes with God's will for us, as does peace. Joy characterizes. Peace is what it tells us. I liken it to that feeling when we feel so filled with joy, and there's just like it's bubbling up and out of us. And I have explained it in the past. It's like when you hear that great joke and all you want to do is share it with someone because it was so funny and it made you laugh and you felt so good because of it. Or if you see that funny meme now on those devices that we all use, to use that feeling as the one that we want to have and to share with others. That is the joy that characterizes peace. It's just so full within us that we don't want to do anything but let it explode and extend out from us. The shorter practice periods, a minute or two every half hour is what they're suggesting, and remind ourselves there's no will but God's. I seek his peace today. And as I seek his peace today, I will have peaceful days and nights that are filled with loving communication, because that's God's will for me. I will have no fear thoughts that disturb my peace, because that's God's will for me. I will have the abundant joy and laughter every single day, because joy characterizes peace, and that is God's will for me. And all of my interactions with all of my brothers, my sisters, the entire sonship will be serene and loving and kind and joyful, because that is God's will for me. And that is it for today. I hope it helped. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please get a big smile. Breathe in this joy. Let it out and let it go, and let it be that pebble in the pond that your joy ripples out and touches so many others. We don't need to know who. We just need to know that we have sent it our joy on its way. Namaste.